Our moderator spent many days in the Bahamas for sure. I think I've just identified my next campaign manager for the next general election. Dr. Bart, thank you for that fine introduction. My father would have thanked you. My mother would have believed you. I adopt the protocol established by the moderator, but just let me say to distinguished guests, to the chairman of CANTO, Dr. Cox, he made me feel old a while ago. He said, "You were called to Dubai in 1975. I wasn't even born yet." So he shouldn't have told me that because I think we look about the same age. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Many of the dreams and hopes and ambitions of humankind have depended on advances in technology. Happily, we live in an age when so many of the seemingly fantastic ideas of people who came before us have been made reality. For nearly 150 years, the humble telephone has allowed us to talk to people thousands of miles away. For more than 100 years, airplanes have enabled us to fly the skies. And for almost 40 years, computers have been networked via the internet, facilitating an exponential growth in the range and content of communications. Think about how many people were mocked for thinking that such things were even possible. But again and again, knowledge and ingenuity and investment overcame obstacles and carved out opportunities, oftentimes in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. We know, of course, that progress and success are never inevitable. That's why it is so important when we all come together to commit to purposeful action. If the mission of CANTO is to enable a digital revolution, then where is the plan to make it happen? Where is the knowledge and ingenuity and investment that we are willing to apply today? And if we are to achieve something that is truly revolutionary, rather than merely evolutionary, then what is the commitment and where is the action? In the Caribbean, it often feels like the digital revolution is still a long time coming, and the infrastructure and the investment necessary to support it don't seem to live up to any revolutionary drive. Almost daily, we are reminded how information and communication technology has the potential to revolutionize our lives. It can solve some of the biggest, most urgent problems of our time in healthcare, in service delivery, in climate change, and so on. In fact, in a week when many countries are experiencing record high temperatures, we are told and reminded that technological solutions remain one of our best hopes. The revolutionary potential of digital transformation goes further. It promises fundamental improvements in the quality of life of our people, secure paths to national development, and wealth creation for successive generations of entrepreneurs. In the Bahamas, we recently enacted legislation concerning digital assets. This created a framework for investment, management, and regulation to encourage and support global players to bring their ventures to the Bahamas. Our sand dollar was the world's first digital currency. We are actively encouraging businesses in new digital spheres, such as cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. We are using technology to determine our natural carbon sinks in order to monetize them as carbon credits to be traded on the open markets. And yet, for the average citizen, these innovations can seem very far away from their everyday lives. We are not yet in the clear from the pandemic. Many people are still very concerned with the basics: food, jobs, housing, transport, and so on. And the pressures of inflation, supply chain issues, and the rise in various conflicts, including the war in Ukraine, all of these require urgent attention. But the appetite for technological engagement is there. I'm talking about more than just the recreational smartphone uses that have come to play such an essential part and role in daily life. The lockdowns and isolation during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic certainly changed and amplified how people use technology. Zoom went from being a corporate video calling platform to a common household activity. In fact, many still describe video calling as the lifeline that kept them sane and kept families connected, especially during the worst of times. Some forecasters at that time even speculated that we need never to return to face-to-face encounters in education or work. But the craving for human contact that has returned suggests that this won't necessarily be true. I suspect that many of you here strongly welcome the chance once again to meet in person. So having come together, what role will the members of CANTO play in defining and facilitating this new normal? This takes me to a wider point I wish to make about social inclusion. While those of us here may have clear-sighted views of the potential benefits that technology can bring, we must not lose sight of the fact that some of our Caribbean citizens still lack access to basic online functions and connectivity. I think of the case of a young man, barely literate in the Bahamas, who a few years ago, 15 years ago, looking for a job, could go into a hotel lobby, meet the doorman, ask for a job. That doorman will point him to the Human Resources Office, and he would ask what human resources mean. He said, well, that is where you go to look for a job. He'll be directed there. He'll meet a person in that office. And he'll tell that person, well, I'm looking for a job. He'll be asked, what could you do? Well, ma'am, I left school, I could hardly read or could hardly write. He might be embarrassed to say that. That person he meets will give him an application form to fill in. He'll struggle to fill it in. The person will recognize that he's struggling. That person will assist him in filling in the form. And while filling in the form, that person in the Human Resources Department will say, there's an opening in the kitchen. We could put you in there to wash dishes. And he'll get that job. Fast forward to the day, that young man out of Ida Street in New Providence, if he wants a job, he can't walk over to that hotel anymore because he'll be told, if you want a job, now you have to go online. And in the Bahamas, he will say to you, well, the only thing I know about line is this line. Right. And so, and that is where we are today. And we have to keep that illustration I put in our minds as we forge ahead in our technological advances. So he will have struggled today, he'll be struggling to access a computer to be able to apply for that job. And he'll struggle to fill in that form to get that job. So my government, the private and voluntary sectors, have implemented a number of initiatives to improve computer literacy. But the present reality is that there are still those who still struggle to gain access. So what can we collectively do to maximize social inclusion? What can we do to ensure that no one is left behind in this digital revolution? Friends, I believe that we have enormous potential in the region to take advantage of the digital revolution. We have a unique opportunity to create smart cities, complete with 5G technology, expanded access to always-on connectivity, and cashless ecosystems. We can strengthen our democracies and increase trust between governments and the people if we use technology to substantially improve the delivery of government services. And we can be bold and we can be brave in how we achieve this. This is where all of you can play a significant role in helping us to move towards fulfilling this vision. At the moment, I see signs of aging infrastructures, some of which are poorly maintained and certainly suffer from underinvestment. Some major corporate actors seem very focused on withdrawing early profits rather than maximizing long-term investment for long-term rewards. Perhaps the answer lies in increased competition. But the relatively small size of our individual markets is one of the factors that has historically given rise to a number of protectionist practices in various jurisdictions. Are we now at the moment when we need to make adjustments to encourage more competition into the space? Will greater market forces lead to better services and better products for our people? In pursuing our shared Caribbean vision of a connected and empowered people and to transform lives through digital technologies, the Bahamas is renewing its commitment to leading the region's efforts on the global stage. We have already supported by the Caribbean community, announced our campaign to re-election to the Council of the International Telecommunications Union. And now I'm pleased to announce that the government of the Bahamas will be putting forward a candidate for the election as the director of ITU's Telecommunication Development Bureau. The BDT is the arm of the ITU that focuses on bringing assistance to developing, and it is well past time that the Caribbean and small island developing states takes its place in ITU and the BDT's leadership. You would have heard Stephen Buru before me. A Bahamian, got Trinidadian roots. He's a Caribbean man. He's the former CEO of our telecommunications regulator, IRCA, and currently the deputy director of the BDT. He's undoubtedly the most qualified person to take on the mantle of the BDT director, having been a close partner of the current director, Lorraine Bogdan-Martin, in achieving arguably the most successful term of leadership for the Bureau ever. Stephen has supported the director and team in delivering an impactful, effective, and relevant BDT, responsive to member states' needs and achieving levels of success that we have missed in this critical organization for some time. I hope that the entire Caribbean region will join the Bahamas in promoting and ensuring the success of our Caribbean candidate, Mr. Buru, to succeed in the election at ITU's Plenipotentiary Conference, which will take place in Bucharest, Romania in this September. And we will thank you for that support. In the first full budget of my administration, produced in June last month, we included incentives and tax reliefs for those investing in ICT. We want to elevate the conversation above the basics of reliability. We need to hold on to the big picture of what is in the best in the national interest, and what is best in the regional interests. We need to take the long view. There's much untapped potential, especially among our young people. They are hungry for change and actively want to do things differently. They have much in common with technologists who are fond of describing the disruptive nature of what they do. How can we bring these two forces together and harness them for the greater good? One of the animating values of my administration lies in the concept of economic justice. Back in January 2022, it was reported that during the pandemic, the wealth of the world's 10 richest men doubled to $1.5 trillion. Around the same time, it was reported that the global poverty rate increased from 7.8% to 9.1%. It was estimated that approximately 97 million more people are living on less than $1.90 a day because of the pandemic. As a matter of principle, our view is that an economy will be more successful if it is fairer. It is a view which has moved beyond economists and academics into the widest affair of public policy and business. I raise it in order to encourage you to join us in this approach when planning your individual roles in the digital revolution. The ruthless, relentless pursuit of profit may bring short-term gain, but greater, more stable, more enduring profitability is likely to come when corporate social responsibilities are factored in. So I want to make a request of Caribbean CEOs and executives sitting here today, and those who may hear me today. Together, let's create a different and better future for the Caribbean. Slavish attention to the maximization of profits for shareholders will detract from that better future for the Caribbean. To illustrate, the Bahamas is an archipelago, and there's no business case to build fiber optic cables to many of our far-flung family islands. But there was a social case, a security case, and a nation-building case. And today, the Bahamas is better off for that investment made yesterday. Broadband penetration in our region is only 50%. Let us commit to expanding the penetration of broadband in our region as a matter of social priority. This will assist in the true diversification of our economies, as many thousands of new good-paying jobs could be created with the deployment of affordable, reliable broadband. Other countries have spent billions to make sure broadband reaches all of their people. My vision is to see our small countries keeping pace. My challenge to all of you is work with us, work with policymakers to make broadband universal, affordable, and reliable for all our region's people. Impress upon the decision makers in your companies the urgency of reducing the digital divide. In addition, work with us to build real protections from cyber threats. I opened by describing how many of the technologies we take for granted today were once thought far-fetched or impossible. We should be inspired daily by the imagination, tenacity, and vision that created our present, and know that we have that same capacity to create, to innovate, and to revolutionize. A digital transformation in the Caribbean where knowledge, ingenuity, and investment will produce the best little countries in our world. Now, that would be revolutionary. Right. We thank you.